Hey, and welcome to Freedom Church today. It is so good to have you with us. My name is Scarlett.
And my name is Matt, and wherever you're joining us from, feel a warm welcome this morning. Whether in our locations or in a fire starter or watching online, you are so welcome. And if it's your first time, we'd love to hear from you. So please get in contact, give us an email or message in the comment chat below, or drop us a message through social media because we'd love to get to know you.
That's right, we are one church in many locations, lots of different cities and nations joining today. So why don't you comment where you're watching from below?
Fantastic. And we have as a church 12 DNA. These are like our 12 core values. And today we get to hear about one in particular, which is relentless reaching. We've got an amazing word from Saz all about that DNA. And I just want to read to you what that DNA says. We persistently share the hope and salvation of Jesus with our family, friends, and communities. We won't stand by and be silent about the truth and love God has for this world.
God is so good, and I love our DNA. Community is such a part of who we are as a church.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And before we head into worship, we're going to head over to India to see some of our communities in action.
The most I love about groups is we have a lot of fun. But mainly I think I like the fact that we have something midweek where we can regroup, reconnect, learn more about on what's happened on Sunday and grow more in the Word. But the fact that we do it together.
Personally for me, serving Christ is one of the greatest joys of life. But to get to be able to do it with a set of like-minded individuals in a group is a completely different feeling.
It's amazing how we get to connect with our church community, share everything that's happened in the last Sunday's preach, play games, and just hang out and chill together. It's so much fun.
Every now and then when I feel like I'm having a dip in my faith, to be able to listen to the testimonies of others and also to be accountable to your group leaders is a great way to stay on track with my faith.
There are days when I feel like my faith is sinking, and when I hear someone else share their testimony or how God has come through for them that week, it really lifts me up.
Just show up consistently, and by showing up consistently even on those days that I did not feel like, it has helped me grow in my faith.
Over the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, there have been times where I feel very alone and lonely. But just the fact that people at Freedom don't only reach out to me to pursue spiritual relationships, but also real friendships makes me feel really warm and like I have a sense of belonging here.
Over the past year, I've been dealing with quite a lot of challenges, and at times when it felt like I wasn't getting the support that I wanted from the people around me, having the friendship and community that sort of pushes you through it was a great way to help me stay on top of it.
You know, we all have those days where we've totally no clue what we're doing or how we're feeling, or some days we just don't know who we really truly are. That's how community and friendship has helped me, because they jump right in, they're there for me, they speak life over me, and they remind me of who I really am.
While it's great to have a personal, individual relationship with God, to be a part of community and groups where you can be a part of one body of one church in the body of Christ, it's a completely different feeling. So come on and let's worship Christ the best way we know how.
If you're just looking to have godly friendships with a vivacious bunch of people whom you can be accountable to, then groups is the place to be.
We all need that somebody who speaks life over you, who loves you, and who you can befriend, you know. And the best of it all is that you learn and grow more and more in the Word and faith. So why not groups? I'll see you Wednesday.
But it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. You came along and put me back together. Now every desire is now satisfied here in your love. You ready to lift it up? Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing Nothing is better than you. And I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Come on, freedom all around the world. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Let's lift it up again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. You ready, church? Come on. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. And again, you turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. There's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh! You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. One more time. You're the only one who can. Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Lord, turn face toward you and give you peace. Over our church, Lord, over our brothers and sisters, God. The Lord bless you and keep you. make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turns face toward you and give you peace. Let's agree with our prayer today. Sing amen. 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 Shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. Amen. Come on. These words from generation to generation. I'm going to declare this in every nation and city we gather. Come on, may His favor.
May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, in your family, in your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, in your family, in your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His presence go before you and behind you.
guys are excited. I'm excited. It's going to be a great word today. We are in our Here, Now and Forever series, and it's a great series. My name's Saz. I'm part of the team here at Freedom Church. I've been a part of Freedom Church for about 15 years. It's been the best 15 years of my life, and it's been amazing. But we have heard a little bit already, and as I was sort of going over my notes of what the other preachers brought in the weeks gone past, you can catch up with all of this online, YouTube, our website, our podcast. As I was catching up, I realized so much of it was about stewardship. Chris talked in the first one about climate change, our here and now, looking after the world. Sophie talked about our hearts. She talked about cancel culture. It was all about making sure our hearts didn't become angry or bitter to other people, and we maintained that love of God. Dave talked about stewarding our mobile phones. Guys, who actioned that one? Ooh, I soon got a phone bin on the side in the kitchen so that I just wouldn't carry my phone around my house with me. How weird is it that I do that? So it's all about this stewardship, but I want to bring something today about the stewardship here and now of our relationships. Because we have so many relationships. I have the privilege of knowing lots of you in other locations and knowing you here in Hereford, but I have some amazing relationships, some incredible friendships that I hold so dear. And I get a chance here and now to steward them, to steward what I give to people, how I serve people, how I love people. And it's really beautiful. But I'm sure you've done this because I did it. And I'm sure you've done it too. Google Earth, where you get the little white man. You tap in your postcode, and it zooms in on your house and your street, and you like see your friend. Oh, that's my house. Oh, that's our old car. That's our neighbours. And then you like zoom up, and you like zoom out, and then you can see your street, your town, your city, your nation. And then, all of a sudden you're with the stars looking at, with the satellites looking at Earth. It's really cool. Well, I want us to do that today about time. I want us to zoom out. Because the Here, Now, Forever series is it's a concept of time, isn't it? It's about here and now, and it's about forever. So it's got this view and this idea of what we're doing now and what we're doing forever. And we're actually journeying through this series more towards the forever part, which is a bit more daunting, isn't it? The unknown, the book of Revelation in the Bible, it's the forever bit. It's the bit that's a little bit more sort of curious and unanswered. But I want to bring an illustration to you, so roll with me on this. Okay, I hope you're ready. Okay, this is us zooming out, okay? I want you to imagine that this is an illustration of time. Now, I've pinched this, okay? I didn't make this up. Someone else made this up. This is an illustration of time. This is all the time that we have, and it goes on for quite a long time. Okay, so it's, people talk about a time continuum. I'm not really a scientist, don't really understand it. But they talk about a time continuum. So there's a lot of it, okay? There's like eternity. We've been talking about forever. So there's this forever that happens, and it really goes on for quite a long time. But we don't really think about our forever. Really, what we think about is our here and now. And this red section represents your life on earth, your here and now. And we focus in on, and we zoom in on, and we enjoy, and we love, and we give our time and our energy to what's happening here and now. And that's right. Carpe diem, seize the day, live for today, enjoy life. But we forget in our daily lives to think about the fact that actually we're going to spend more of our time in this forever than we ever are in this. And our life is a tiny portion. It's a tiny portion of time. And it's beautiful, and I love it. I'm not taking anything away from this section of time that's special and valuable and important. But sometimes I know when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, I'm certainly not thinking about all of this. I'm actually just thinking about this. But here, now, and forever really is the concept that we've got our here and now, but actually we need to begin to think about our forever. And you see, I don't know how you come to today, and I love it if you are here and you are not a Christian, or you're part of another faith, or you're checking out church, or you're just curious as to what we believe. I love it. And you are so welcome. I celebrate that you're the other side of this listening to what God has to say today, because as Christians, we believe in the forever. we've got this huge, long, I don't mean to be so disrespectful to forever. We've got this huge, long section of forever that we're going to live in. And as Christians, we believe when this is over, there's an eternity in heaven waiting for us. And whatever you're coming to today with, whatever you believe about your here and your now and your forever, it's a decision moment. Because really, I've got kids, you get to that point where people ask, children ask, young people ask, what about when I die? We all have that forever question within us. And it's important that we do. You see, our life expectancy is 72 years. 72 years, that's not long in the light of eternity, but 72 years to change the world. And Freedom Church, I believe you can. Because I've had my life changed. I sit alongside people in our church, Christians all around the world, who've had their lives, their here and their now changed, and their forever. You see, whatever you believe, you have to make a decision. C.S. Lewis made this amazing quote that has never left me. He said, if Christianity is false, it is of no importance. But if it is true, it is of infinite importance. You see, for us as Christians, we live our life good in this red bit of the rope, our red bit of time. We share, we do all the things God asks us to do. Love people, share, build good family, raise children, honor our bosses, be humble around other people, serve. If Christianity is false, when we die, it's really of no consequence because actually our lives should have been about serving. If it's true, then we get to live in eternity with God. A new heaven and a new earth, celebrating and partying alongside each other. Isn't that glorious? But if you're not a Christian today, or if you're just asking questions about this Christian faith, if our faith is true, it is of infinite importance. It will change your life beyond this life forever. We rarely talk about forever in our daily lives, do we? We rarely even think about it. You see, God's on a mission of reconciliation. And reconciliation means this. It means reuniting. It means mending, agreement, peace, synthesis. Isn't that a wonderful word? It means resolving. You see, God wants us to spend forever with him in eternity. Now, as Christians, we know that and we love it. But I think so often we think about it only for ourselves. We've just sang the song Reckless Love. It's so wonderful to sing about how God recklessly and passionately goes after you. How often will we sing that song in mind of our Christian, non-Christian friends? Would we be reckless in going after them? Because we're all evangelists. We're all evangelists. Sunday morning is an evangelist moment. We want people in our locations. We are desperate for people to come to our church. We exist for people outside of our four walls. We're desperate for people to come to our church and hear about Jesus. But do you know what? We've got this opportunity to take Jesus to people. We've got this commission. You see, in 2 Corinthians 5, verse 16, it said, God reconciled us to him through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation, so that by our example, we might bring others to him. We're bringing other people, not just to Jesus for this bit. We're bringing them to Jesus for this bit. We're bringing them to Jesus for all eternity, because I don't want my friends to go to hell. And let's call it as it is. We avoid those words because as Christians, we're uncomfortable with the word hell. Hey, check this. Your friends and family are going to hell, and that should break your heart. But here's the glory of it. We've got the mission of reconciliation. We've got the opportunity here and now to change someone's forever. And we can do it. Loads of people you are sat next to who you know who are Christians will be in our churches listening to these messages because someone in their here and now spoke up and changed your forever. Because God is on a mission here and now to bring people back to him, to reconcile, to mend, to bring peace, to bring them to know him, no matter their history. He's desperate for it. But we are all evangelists. We're all evangelists. I know that for years, I just wanted to get my non-Christian friends through the door of church because I thought Pastor Gary was a great preacher and he was the evangelist. That 30 minutes on a Sunday would change their life, and it has, and it will. We see our churches growing all around, all the time. Church planters, you are out there, and our Sunday events and our church is changing lives. But I tell you what changes lives: when we take Jesus out of the walls of our church and we reconcile people back to God in our workplaces and our homes and over our coffee tables. Now this week, Adelaide, one of my children, my daughters, had some homework, and she's doing the Egyptians, and they were drawing sarcophaguses. Sarcophagus. For the historians in the room, you know what I mean. And it basically is a coffin. Let's just say the easier word. It's a coffin, and what she had to draw was what would she take with her, what would she wear, and what she'd take with her into her afterlife. Now, me and Adelaide had the chat. It's okay. She understands about eternity. And she had to draw the things that meant a lot to her, and so she drew this necklace from her grandparents. Beautiful. I was like, oh, that's so meaningful, so beautiful. How special. She drew her Bible. Oh, proud mum moment. And then she drew slime, like slime. And for those that aren't parents in the room, you don't know, slime is sent from the enemy to my carpet and my life. And so I was a bit confused about Adelaide's, the emphasis she had on those 3 items. But it was really sweet, and we got into this conversation. She said, oh, Mummy, can I put my siblings in the coffin with me as well? It's like, oh, this is getting really awkward. It's like, no, that's not how it works. But we got into this conversation, and we talked about the fact that there is eternity, and there is heaven, and there is an afterlife. We don't necessarily call it that way. There is a forever. I said to Adelaide, you can't take things with you. You can only take people. We can only take people with us, guys. But so often we live as if we're taking stuff with us, and we don't live as if we're taking people with us. Is your day focused? Is your here and now focused on someone else's forever? Or is your day focused on your here and now? Because I look at my non-Christian friends and my heart is broken for them. Not because they're bad people, not because they're necessarily in poverty or struggling, but actually because I'm trying to look at them with an eternal perspective. And I'm trying to zoom out. We have a DNA in our church called Relentless Reaching. Let's read it. We persistently share the hope and salvation of Jesus with our family, friends, and communities. We won't stand by and be silent about the truth and love God has for this world. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like written into who we are. But you see, Relentless Reaching has a lot of doing words in it. And I think sometimes, at confession now, as a Christian, I step back and think the church is doing. So should I be doing? But we're all evangelists. We've all been given the mission. We've all been given lives that should be an example. You see, reaching will cost you. It'll cost you time. It'll cost you money. It'll cost you your home or some food. One of the biggest things it costs us is our reputation. And for years, I was shy. I was insecure. I was worried about sharing my faith, particularly when I was a teenager. I thought people would laugh at me because I believed something very different to a majority of the people in my class. And so I held back. Now, I could come in and speak a word of courage to you. But the one thing I've learned over time is that actually what I was doing was I was loving my life more than I was loving their life. Wow. And actually withholding the gospel was actually more to do with idolatry than it was to do with love. Because I actually idolized their lives. I actually would rather have their lives than my own. Or the other way, I actually preferred my own security, my own acceptance, their view of me being like a nice, comfortable view where they wouldn't challenge or question or laugh. I actually idolized me being a certain way in front of them, and so I didn't share the gospel. But I've learned over the years that actually the people around us really just want the real us. They just actually want you to be really honest about what you believe. They actually really just want to know what you think. And most people are actually quite accepting when you're confident about being different or believing something different. And actually, you have got words of life that will challenge and question and make them think about their eternity. Make them think about there being something beyond this mortal realm. Make them think about the fact that there is a God that loves them, has peace and grace for them, even in their mess and their failure. You see, we've got a forever that we can give to other people. Are we more concerned with our rejection or their rejection? Because I can sit across my non-Christian friends. Am I more concerned about them disliking me? Because if I hold the gospel back, when they get to heaven, God's going to say, I don't know you. And it'll be my fault. Am I more concerned about my rejection or their rejection? And I'm learning more and more and more that, you know what? Especially when you get older, I feel like this is maybe something you learn as you mature. Actually, people come and go in your life anyway. And so, do you know what? If you've got a few years at college or at school or in a job when you're in your young 20s, just be yourself. Just be honest to who you are. Be honest about what you believe. Be honest about this God you serve, because you've got something. You may not do a huge amount of life with these people, but you've got 2 years to change their life in college. You've got 3 or 4 years to change their life in university. And I learned very quickly, if I was just honest about my God and who he is, they may not accept it at the time, but I tell you, every time they hit trouble, who did they come running to? I tell you, when they had broken relationships or health issues or scares in their family, whose door did they knock on? Who did they come to and say, oh, can you pray? Or what shall I do? Who was it? It was the Christians, because we had something stronger and beyond ourselves. I want to share with you 4 things that you can do to be a great relentless reacher. So these are really, really practical things that I've learned over the years to reach people. Hey, and I'm not up here stood telling you these because I've got a backlog of non-Christians that sit in our churches that I brought to this church. That's not the case. There are a few. I'm very blessed. But I've got also some stories of people who came and left. People who came and now don't speak to me. People who accepted Jesus one Sunday and then never returned to church again. But God's got me on a mission of reconciliation to pull people into eternity. And here and now, I've got 72 years, there or thereabouts, to do it. So this is what I want to share with you. You need to share, love, and live ready. You need to share, love, and live ready. Those are the things that we need. These are 4 things that I have seen in my life and the life of relentless reachers in our church that really help us touch people's lives, change their lives in our here and now, so their forever looks completely different. And I celebrate because I get the honor of standing in Hereford looking at lives, literally looking at the faces of people that I have lived this life with, and I've seen their lives changed, and I'm so humbled by it. First one is share your life. Share your life with people. Share your dinner table. Share your food. Share your time. Share your car journeys. Share some jokes. Share a bottle of wine or a glass of coffee. Share your life with people. I want you to imagine this. Maybe draw it if you're a visual learner. You have got circles of influence. You've probably got 5 or 6 groups of people that you do life with. It might be your family. So you draw a circle, you put your little stick man of you in there, and then you draw the other people that are in your family, your home. Maybe you've got a circle of influence, you've got your housemates. You know, the people that you live your life with. Maybe you've got a couple of WhatsApp groups. You know, those people that you've got a common interest. A gym bunnies out there, you know, your group of people, 6 o'clock in the morning, it's sweaty and gross, you've never got makeup on, you look disgusting, but you really do have a great time working out together. You might have your colleagues at work. Maybe there's like a department of you. These are your circles of influence. Share your life with them. Share your life with them. There's this beautiful verse that I absolutely love, and it's in Thessalonians. I read it last week. It says, and this is Paul, he's writing to a city, he's writing to the Thessalonians, and he had gone and he'd started churches there, and then he'd moved away. He was in prison when he was writing this letter, but he's writing back to them to tell them about how he feels towards them. And he says this, having such a deep affection for you, we were delighted to share with you not only God's good news, but also our own lives. How cool is that? Because you have become so very dear to us. Share your life with people. And some of us need to build bridges, right? Some of us, you actually need some interests. You need something beyond parenting or your job and Freedom Church. I love it. I love that you're fully involved in our church. Get some hobbies and interests, guys. Get some things that you do. Build some social lives. Build some dinner parties. Go to a book club. Join a gym. Go golfing. I don't care what it is. But we've got to build these bridges. Because, hey, I learned very quickly. I've been in Hereford campus for 8 years. And I've been inviting my non-Christian friends for 8 years. I've got some really, really close friends who have stuck by me, and I've stuck by them through some really hard things in our lives. And I've been inviting them to church for 8 years. It's all right, Christmas event. They're going to come for the Christmas event. It's going to be epic. 2 of them came. Okay, right, no, it's okay. Dave's doing a new song. Let's get him along. Dave, come on, Dave's doing a new song. Okay, all right, one came. Never came back. Okay, right. My children are getting baptized. My children get baptized. Okay, that's brilliant. Guys, come along. Okay, 2 can make it. The rest have got rugby practice. I've learned that after 8 years, I'm going to continually relentlessly reach. But do you know where I do Jesus? I don't just do Jesus inside these 4 walls. Because I've learned very quickly that they might not want to come inside these 4 walls. They might have hurt or pain or rugby club. I don't know. But they don't want to be here on a Sunday morning. So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share my life with them. And I'm going to get outside of the 4 walls of my church. I'm going to have hobbies and interests. And I'm going to have things that I can talk to them about. And do you know what? Then I can talk about how Jesus changes my parenting. How Jesus transformed my marriage. Why Jesus wants and loves things like physical fitness, or hobbies or interests or arts or theatre. I've got circles of influence because I want to share my life with people. So the first thing you've got to do is share your life. You see, you share your life here and now, and you'll share eternity with them too. I want to share I've got some amazing moments with my non-Christian friends in this red bit and my family. Amazing moments. Joy, laughter, holidays, time together, meals, all kinds of fun that we've had. I don't want to just share this bit. I want to share eternity with them. I want to share forever with them. I want to be dancing with them in heaven. I want to be laughing with them. I want to be telling God how great He is because of all the good things He did in our time on earth, and I want to do that forever. The next thing we get to do is love. Sounds rather basic, right? But have you ever been to a shop where the cashier does not love their job? And they certainly don't love you today. You know, customer service, you give it a few less stars, but you're gracious anyway. Well, here's the thing. Our non-Christian friends can tell when we don't love them. When we're giving it lip service to the gospel, but our hearts aren't in it. You need to love some of the people around you. We need to love them. I can safely say that I would happily cry and love my non-Christian friends. I love them. Because I do life with them. I laugh with them. I'm honest with them and I'm real about them, but I love them. You see, God says this. It said, God loved us with such a great love that even when we were dead and doomed in our many sins, He united us to this very life with Christ and saved us by His wonderful grace. We love because He first loved us. Out of our heart, our mouth speaks. It's out of how much we love them. How much are we encouraging them or believing them? I tell you, they can't take it. Some people can't take it. They can't take your joy and your love, but they can't deny it either. They can't deny it. My brother-in-law, Dave's brother, once said to us, do you know what? I think I'd marry a Christian woman. He's a very strong atheist. Why, Al? The church are just so loving. They just do loads for you. Okay. I'd really like you to marry a Christian. But it is, people can see the love that we have, and it's so beautiful, and it's raw, and it's real, and it's authentic. So you need to share, you need to love. And the next one, you need to live as if God is normal. Okay, I know He's not normal. Don't shoot me with your theology right now. I know He's wonderful and inexpressible and all those big words that I can't think right now. I know He's unbelievable. But God needs to be normal to you. You know, when you're like praying in the week, reading your Bible, being encouraged by a verse, had a great time at church. You can't lock away the works of God and the wonders of God in your life to a Sunday morning and your groups and maybe some other Christians that you live with or you do life with. We need to be really honest with our non-Christian friends about how prayer changes lives, about how God came through when something was miraculous, about how we have faith and hope even when the odds are stacked against us because we've got something beyond ourselves. We need to live as if he's normal. Do you talk to the non-Christians around you as if God is normal? Or is it just within our Sundays? Because here's the thing, forever we're going to be telling God how great he is. We might as well do it now while we're on earth. We might as well do it here and now. You see, I think so often we think about our testimony, and we think our testimony, especially as Christians, is this really glorious holy moment where we got saved. You know? It's like, I can tell you my testimony. And my non-Christian friends ask, so I can talk to them about my testimony. That moment that Jesus came, gave me purpose and love like I'd never known. I knew that there was something beyond myself. I realized that there was this spiritual realm and this God that was way bigger than who I was. And there was more to my life than what I was experiencing here and now. That's my testimony. And my friends want to hear about that moment. And we celebrate when you get to share those moments because they're really powerful. But what about sharing how God changed your life last week? What about sharing how God changed your marriage? What about sharing how God gave you courage to start a business? What about sharing the normal things of God that he does in our everyday and not just these huge moments? You see, in Revelation 12, verse 11, it says, we overcome the enemy with the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony, and that we weren't in love with ourselves, but that we were willing to die for Christ. We overcome the enemy. When the enemy has got those that don't believe in Jesus and they are going to hell, when the enemy has got hold of them, we overcome that hold of the enemy with Jesus and with the word of our witness, the word of our testimony. Tell them about what God has done and don't be shy about it. I've realized the more confident I am telling them the normal things that God does, the more they can't deny God. Because they can't deny my experience. And don't get me wrong, I have some big theological debates with non-Christian friends. I've got one who I love so much, who categorically believes the absolute opposite of me. But I can share my life with her. I can say that I love her to her face. And I can talk about God being normal. And we can debate, and we can discuss, and we can go through some very, very big theological questions. But at the end of it, I love her. And she might be able to argue with some science. In fact, she knows way more than me. But she can't argue with my story. She can't argue with my children. She can't argue with some of the miracles of the things that have happened in our family life. Like, she can't argue with that testimony. You see, one of my friends said to me once, it was lockdown, take yourself to January this year. And in the UK, we could leave the house for half an hour to do exercise with one other person. So I was like, okay, how am I going to spend time with my friends? And God bless my children, escape for a little bit. And so I went for a run with one of my friends, and we were running. She said to me, Saz, why are you so happy? I was like, well, this is very flattering. But it wasn't just about me. I actually have the privilege of going to a school where there are 4 or 5 Freedom Church families and Christians who are a part of the same school. She said, actually, I've noticed that all of the Freedom people are happy. You're all happy. Your marriages are happy. Your husbands are happy. Your children are happy. Oh, we're not without flaw, trust me. They know our flaws. They know our weaknesses. They know the struggles we have with some of our children in different areas. But she couldn't get her head around how we're so happy. Why? What is it that you have that makes you so happy? I was like, well, actually, I've got prayer and I've got God. And I said, when I hit my trials or I hit things that are hard, I pray. Why? Because I was making God normal to her. I wasn't talking about Sunday. I wasn't talking about a leader praying for me. No, I was talking about how I genuinely have a relationship with God in which I can pray and get strength. And she, accepted it and agreed and could understand. And then about 2 weeks ago, we were talking again. She said, do you know what? One of my friends asked why you Freedom Church was so happy. Okay. Glad that more than one person's seeing it. She actually asked me why you're all so happy and what is it about you all that is just so joyful? It's like, oh. It's like, she said, then I told her that it's because you've got God and it's because you pray and because you've got Jesus. So it just goes like, fantastic, great. I don't need to say anything now, do I? Why? Because God's normal. He's in our everyday lives. If he's changing your life Monday to Friday, do you know what? You should probably talk to people Monday to Friday about how he's changing your life and not save it for a Sunday or a Wednesday or a nice little group of Christian friends where they're going to accept what you say. Because God wants to break out of the walls of our church. And how's he going to do that? When we share our lives, love people, and tell them about how good he is and how he's for them every single day. You see, we get to connect in weakness and lead in strength. And what that means is we need to connect with our non-Christian friends in our weakness. You're not perfect. Sorry to break it to you, neither am I. I don't go to my friends with my perfection and a cheesy smile and everything's just so fine all the time. I just don't. Guys, I go to them with my reality. I go to them without my makeup on. I go to them with the pain and the things I've been through. I go to them with tears and stories. I don't preserve for them some fake advertisement of Christianity. I go to them with the reality of Christianity, and that is it's hard, and life still happens, and things are still tough, and Dave and I still face trials, but do you know what? I'm going to connect with them in weakness, and then I'm going to lead them in the strength that God gives me. Connect with them in the reality of life, and tell them how God comes through every single time. Not the way I want him to, not the way I think he's going to, but he comes through. So connect with people in weakness and lead them in strength. Because you've got a testimony, you've got a test you've been through that you have conquered in your marriage, in your life, in your health, in your family, in all kinds of circumstances. And you've got the testimony of how God turned up. So go share that. You don't have to share deep revelations of theology. You don't even have to know where in the Bible something is. You just need to say, God says something like. Just share your life. And finally, you need to be ready. It says in 1 Peter 3, it says, but in your heart, set Christ apart as holy, acknowledging him, giving him first place in your life as Lord. Always be ready to give a logical defense to anyone who asks you to account for the hope and confident assurance, elicited by faith that is within you, yet do it with gentleness and respect. We need to be ready. You see, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. We need to be ready to share for our account. If your life is changed by Jesus, I tell you they're watching. I've got friends in different business places where I've gone as a customer and they've gone as staff, and I tell you, we've talked about they're watching us. And if you're not Christian and you're watching, awesome, welcome. Come watch it. Watch what God can do in our lives. Watch our stories. Watch our journey. I tell you, it'll be like a film because it's not plain sailing. There's like tragedy and loss and pain and challenge and fight, but God always comes through. There's always a happy ending with our now and for our now, here and now, because it's got a forever. But how much are we willing to share about forever in our here and now so that other people can walk this eternal journey? I believe in you, church. I believe in you because I've watched our church for years. I've watched Christians in and out of our church for years share the gospel. I've watched our church grow in an incredible amount. I remember one of our first Sundays where I ever heard Freedom Church count about people. So we had 68 people this morning. I was at Chris and Karen's for lunch with 68 people. And we celebrated in their kitchen over a roast dinner, sharing life, talking about the normalcy and the goodness of God. And now we stand in a church that's almost hitting 2,000 people in just 15 years. Why? But why? Because the evangelists, because you're evangelists, because you relentlessly reached, you chose to say, I'm not going to keep it in my four walls. I'm not going to keep my life comfortable. I'm going to go and I'm going to reach and I'm going to serve and I'm going to believe that there are people in my here and now that are going to live with me forever and are going to see Jesus and are going to meet him. And in all eternity, their forever will be changed because I chose that I was going to be purposeful about how I lived my here and now. But I just want to ask, Because I believe there are going to be some people in our locations where your here and now doesn't look like a relationship with God yet. Where actually your here and now, you are questioning what goes when that red bit of the rope stops. Where am I going? And I want to tell you today that you've got the opportunity to spend eternity in heaven with God and with us. You've got that chance to spend eternity celebrating and dancing, being free from your pain, being free from your depression or your hurt, being free from the mistakes that you make and the guilt that you feel, being free from shame. And some of that freedom doesn't just start in the forever. It can start here and now. That actually right now you can get to know God and get to know Jesus and get to know other Christians that can walk the journey with you to having your life changed. And so I just want to give this chance that if anyone is watching or listening to this, that your here and now, a decision that you make here and now, can change your forever. I believe wherever you are, you know that this is you. I've sat in churches with my heart pounding, knowing that God was real and having the revelation that he was wanting to be with me, that I didn't have to continue my life the way that it was. And I sat while everyone else's eyes were closed and my heart was beating, and I knew that there was an eternity for me to enjoy, but also a relationship with God that could start right now. And so I'm going to ask, in all of our locations, could you just close your eyes? And the reason I do that, I know that's a bizarre thing to do. The reason I do that is because sometimes we do fear other people knowing, or we worry that other people are going to see. And sometimes we just have to have that opportunity to make a decision. And so I'm going to ask you to put your hand up. And what that is you're just putting your hand in the air to say, I want to know God more. And here and now, I want to make a decision to start this journey of learning about how my forever can be different starting today. Not just the end of our life, but today your forever can be different. And so I would like you to put your hand in the air. And as you put your hand in the air, you're saying to us, I want to pray with someone. And so I would just ask wherever you are to take that chance now and pop your hand up. And here in Hereford, it's the same for you. It's your chance today. If today you want to say, do you know what, here and now I want to know God, this is your chance. Because right here and right now, God's ready to change your forever. So Father, I thank you for every life that will have responded. Father, I thank you that as we come to this message, we come to a moment here and now where you want to meet with us and change our forever. In Jesus' name, amen. Just to finish, I want to pray for you. I want to pray for you, church, because all of us who have already made that decision to know Jesus and are already living in the fullness of God here and now, will do it forever, but we're evangelists. And so I want to pray a prayer, and it's actually from Thessalonians. You can tell that I'm in that book. I quite like it. But it's a prayer that I want to pray over you as like a blessing and a call to go, because you're relentless reachers. And I want to ask you really quickly, before I do that, I want to ask you to get your phones out. Oh, controversial after Dave's preached last week. And I want you to open the Freedom Global app. And the Freedom Global app is an app we have as a church to give us time and structure to set aside prayer for people. With 3 sections on our global app, we have the global section where we're praying about issues that are going on in the world or in our church all around the world. We have our local area, which is all about how you can be praying for your church or your city in your location. But we have our personal part of the global app. And that's your part where you're going to write some names right now. And I asked you to talk about your circles of influence. But some of us will remember from about 3 years ago in Freedom Church, we had something called a Faith for 5. And the Faith for 5 was choosing 5 people that you would have faith for. And you'd pray for them. You'd share life with them. You'd love them. You'd talk about God normally with them. You'd be ready to talk to them about Jesus when they asked. And I want to ask you in that section of your Freedom Global app right now to write 5 people down. I've got mine. They've been stuck on my fridge for years. And they've changed. as my life has grown, or people have moved away or chosen to completely reject God. But I've got my faith for 5, and I'm fighting for them. While you finish doing that, I want to pray this scripture over you. It says, may God, our Father himself, and our Master Jesus clear the road for you. May the Master pour on you the love that fills your lives and splashes over to everyone around you, just as it does from us to you. May you be infused with strength and purity, filled with confidence in the presence of God when our Master Jesus arrives with all his followers. May you be infused with confidence, filled with strength, overflowing with the love of God, that it splashes onto the lives around you. Freedom Church, I believe in you. I believe in you as evangelists. I believe that your decisions here and now are going to change the forever for the lives that are around you. And I believe that you have got the words and the love of God that will transform the lives of those that are your faith for 5 or that you do life with. Thank you for joining us in this series. Have an amazing God-filled week. Take care.
What an incredible message that was, Saz. Thank you so much. And what a reminder for us as Christians to take that hope and take that light of Jesus and salvation into the world, our friends and families and communities, and share it with them. So I hope, like me, you've been impacted today. And wherever you are, if you have any questions, you want to reach out to us, it'd be amazing to chat to you. You can do that through social media or hello@freedomchurch.cc. We can't wait to see you again here next week, and have an amazing week wherever you are in the world.